I actually shot a video earlier today. I don't know if I'm going to post it. I'm not sure I was happy with the way it turned out. But I was talking about multiple personalities, multiple personae, as I like to say, personae being the plural of persona, and how everybody has multiple personalities. And as an actor, of course, this is immensely helpful and useful to be able to draw on the many different people inside of you and many facets and aspects of yourself. But in fact, even if you're not an actor, even if you don't play different roles literally, you play different parts in your life. You have different aspects to who you are. You have different versions of yourself. You have different editions of yourself. And I was talking about a woman that I'm friends with on Facebook who mentioned her two young children. She had a picture of them at the library. They were both looking at a book the way children often do when they're looking at a book and they're really enthralled and they're really absorbed in it. And she said they never want to go to the library, but then once they're there, they don't want to leave. Now, this is interesting from a number of standpoints. And it's probably the kind of thing that you remember as a kid, you know, things that you didn't really want to do, but maybe one of your parents or both your parents, you know, insisted that you do it. And then once you did it, you found that you love it. But what's really interesting is that this is not a one-time thing. This can be an ongoing thing. And in fact, even in our adult lives, we can say, for example, oh, I really don't want to exercise. I know I need to exercise. I need to, but I just don't feel like it. I just don't want to exercise. And yet you force yourself to, you get out there, you start exercising, and what do you know? You really enjoy it. You really like it. Now, what happened? What happened in that case? Well, one thing that happens is you move from one state to another. So you have a state that you're in where you're not really interested in exercise, but then you move into another state where you're very interested in exercising. You love exercising. And on the flip side of every mental, emotional state, we can say is a persona. So that you not only shift out of one state and into a different state, you actually change your personality in some way. This is what I mean by multiple personalities or multiple personae. You have, in a sense, these different people in you. There's the version of you that hates to exercise. Then there's the version of you that loves to exercise. And what happens is you're in the one personality, the one persona, and then you shift into the other personality, the other persona. What's interesting about multiple personalities, you know, if you look at it from a clinical standpoint, if you look at it as a disorder, of course, you know, people are diagnosed, you know, with multiple personalities. Well, what's the difference between that and what I'm saying here? Well, it has to do with the extremes of going from one personality to another. If you saw the movie Sybil, you know, that was a woman who had like these extreme different personalities to the point where each personality had a different name. Some of them had different accents. And then also, too, there's oftentimes extreme dissociation from one personality to the next. So that a person, when they're in the one persona, they actually have no memory of what they did or what they said in the other personality, the other persona. And that's an extreme kind of version, and that is actually considered a disorder. But even if you don't have that extreme a case of multiple personalities, even if it's a milder kind of situation, you can still experience not only that difference in your outlook and your thought patterns, you actually experience a certain kind of dissociation. So that it's almost like when you're in the, let's say you're in the state, you're in the persona now who loves exercising. You're exercising, you're feeling great, you're loving it. That person that you were, who was moaning and groaning about exercising, seems very distant to you. It's like that person is very remote and far away and almost like, I don't even know who that person is right now. I feel like a totally different person. And it's almost like I'm almost having a hard time remembering why I thought I didn't like this. But then what's interesting is you can go back to that. This is not a one-time thing. It's not like you exercise and then you realize, oh, hey, I really love this. I thought I would hate it. Sometimes that happens, but more often you flip back and forth, just like the kids hating to go to the library. We don't want to go. No, don't make us go to the library. And then you get them there and they're having a great time and they love it. But then they go back It's a back and forth kind of thing. This is what we mean when we talk about multiple personalities. And the trick is you want to use your multiple personalities to your advantage in life. You don't want this to be your enemy. You want to go with it. You want to love your multiple personalities. Not all of them necessarily, but you need to be able to say, look, there are times when I may be the person who is just not interested in exercise, and that's okay. But when it's time to exercise, I want to be able to get that person who loves to exercise back. I want to remember what it's like to be that guy, to be that person, and I want to bring them back. And I don't want to have to, this is very important, I don't want to have to exercise in order to bring that person back. I want to be able to bring them back first and then get excited and get motivated about exercising. So how do we do that? Well, one thing that I'm often saying is when you find yourself in a really good state, when you find yourself in a really good kind of persona, take mental pictures. Really take cognizance of what is going on not only around you, but also in you, in your mind. What are you thinking about? Don't just say, I feel good. Take cognizance of specifically how you feel. What are the specific feelings that you're feeling? And then if you can, try to associate it to certain things. If you're listening to music, if you are, if you're thinking certain kinds of thoughts, those are things that can be remembered. They can be recorded, and you can use those things to help get you back into that state of mind. Bring that person back, but we have to invite them back. I encourage people not only to think in terms of changing your state, but also actually shifting into a different persona. So that's what I think. You can tell me what you think if you have any comments here. Dan Mulliken says, multiple personalities, reboot acting. Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, it's certainly, as an actor, I've often said that, we are hopefully tremendously interested in and fascinated by the whole issue of perspective and the issue of shifting perspective, changing perspective. Part of the reason why I became an actor was because I don't like being one person all the time. I don't want to just always be the same person. And I like shifting into, in some cases, radically different kinds of perspectives, radically different points of view. And then, of course, shifting back. It's not a permanent thing. You don't shift into a different point of view and then that's it permanently. No, you shift into another thing and another thing and another thing. And it really does help to give you, I think, a much bigger and broader perspective on life. I think that's the purpose of acting for everybody, even whether you're an actor or you're an audience member. Hopefully that's what we do as actors, is we help to kind of open people's minds up to different perspectives, different ways of life. You don't have to agree with it, but at least have some exposure to the way that other people think and other people believe and the way other people's minds work. I think that is probably the most interesting challenge as an actor, is getting into the way a character thinks, really kind of asking yourself what is going on in this character's mind. It's never the lines that they say. It's always those moments before the line, or those pauses. What's going on in the character's head? What are they thinking about? That's where the real acting takes place, because anybody can read a line and read it in a certain way or read it in a certain voice. But when you have the stuff going on when the character isn't saying anything, that's the real acting, as far as I'm concerned. All right. Any other thoughts? Feel free to comment in the chat. I think I'm going to end this for now, but thank you for joining me. And I will talk to you later. Take care.